I will start with a short presentation of what we are doing, what is where I come from, and try to just make a short overview about what sustainability in aquaculture should be. So please, my just slide. So yeah, another slide. This is just, it's easier if I do it, but okay, yeah, I will just say slide and you go on, yeah. So
okay.
our goal or our vision from the start, from the onset of our company was to provide our customers fresh, high quality food, like seafood, in a sustainable way. And this was way back when most of the people didn't yet speak so much about sustainability and the sea. And we have a slogan which is health is a matter of good taste, and definitely we think that even if many years have passed, it's still the same slogan. Slide. And another one. Yeah. Just this is my great grandmother. So what happened to us, even though we tried to work really, really well, and we were working in quality and for sustainability, at the end, when we were all excited about our results and we thought we have really perfect fish. And once we came to the market, reality just kicked in. And we understood that selling was not so easy, because for people, all these big words like the sustainability and local and from like 0 kilometers at that time didn't mean a lot. So we needed to do something which was at that time very different from most of other producers. We actually decided to develop a brand which was one of the brands that was fastest growing brand in the food sector in Slovenia for quite a while. And this is Fonda Piranesi Bas. Fonda, because this was our last name and it was a family business. So we wanted to actually, with the name, tell that it's about a family, people, and people who care. And the whole story was told from newspapers to magazines, TVs. And once people heard about it, read about it, they started to ask everywhere in the fish stores, in the restaurants, do you have Fonda? And this changed quite a lot for us. Slide, please. So my grandfather, and another slide. Yeah, what happened to us was really this great media support. We got a lot of recognitions, of all kinds of recognitions, which was quite atypical for a fish farm. It was something which actually didn't happen anywhere. And this participated a lot, helped a lot to our brand. Slide. We became the first aquacultured fish in the world that people started to sell with the name on the menus. It wasn't anymore just fish, it became Fonda fish. And this, for me, was still, or is still, the biggest achievement that we ever made. Slide, please. So this is how our fish farm looks. It's actually not a very innovative thing. It's a nice one. I often say that it's more a fish garden than a proper fish farm, even though it looks quite big, but the production in our farm is very small. So it's limited and it's in a way a boutique for fish. Slide, please. Its feeding is made by hand, so it's manual feeding. It takes much more time, but it also has, you have a certain control, which if you do it automatically, you don't have. Another slide, please. Yeah, and another one. So it's like I said, it's not extremely modern, but we have a lot of approaches which are very modern. And one of those is that we started to develop a program which we call the educational tourism. And I think this is one of the important things in sustainability, because education is the base of changing our, let's say, our habits. And this is something which is it showed to be very important in our work. So we developed different programs like just a visit with tasting, cooking classes, and it's something which became quite successful. If you go in on TripAdvisor, let's say in Porto Roche, we became the first thing to do when you visit Porto Roche. Another slide, please. So this was just a short overview to understand where I come from, which is my background. And now just a little bit about what sustainability actually means and what aquaculture means. Aquaculture is the fastest growing sector in agriculture in the world, and it's actually growing quite fast it's in an impressive way every year. And already now, more than half of all the seafood that we consume in the world actually comes from the aquaculture sector. And it's supposed to be growing so much that in the year 2030, it will be already more than 60%. Another slide, please. So one of the biggest trends what we expect that aquaculture will go in aquaculture is actually the first one, this continuous growth will just go further. It's expected to grow. And among the countries that are like the most growing, it's actually China, India, United States, Norway. So the countries which are already now quite big. Slide, please. So one of the, let's say the next most important, or one of the most important trends in aquaculture is that it's actually going to the direction where we should use less antibiotics, less chemicals in any way, any aspect, but antibiotics being the first ones. The problem is that antimicrobial resistances are created, and this influences the treatments of bacteria infections both in aquaculture and in humans. The World Health Organization has labeled the antimicrobial resistance one of the major threats to the worldwide health. So this topic is very important. Many organizations, because of that, are already calling for restrictions in the use of antibiotics. So there are many places where they say that antibiotics shouldn't be used, or less antibiotics are used. But the basic problem in this is that any monoculture, it's practically almost impossible to work at the moment without them. Slide, please. So the other focus in sustainability is definitely the feed. The feed is really something where we should work on. The fish meal is the main source of feed in many aquaculture operations, and approximately 1/3 of the global capture of fish is already used to create fish meal or fish oils. And the result of this is actually overfishing in many native species in the sea. Slide, please. The environmental, in sustainability, environmental degradation is also very important, is one of the things where the major attention is being put. So aquacultures actually deplete many of the environmental natural resources, which then disrupt natural habitats. And one of the major, let's say, often heard problems are the shrimp farms, because they should contribute a lot to environmental devastation, but also there things are changing. Slide, please. The influence in wild gene pools is also one of the things that is often mentioned in connection to sustainability. So native species population often suffer when farm species escape, because then they compete for food, or they actually even lower the capability of the species to reproduce. In addition, farm species can drastically alter native gene pools when they're introduced in the wild. Slide, please. So the fourth major important, let's say, change in aquaculture, it's going on in the evolution of aquatic systems and equipment. In aquaculture, many things changed in, let's say, the last 70 years, from wooden cages, which were used in the 60s, to the current standard polyethylene cages and really big ones, which are made of steel. So equipment slowly is shifting from the mechanical type to the more technological type. So instead of having cages and a lot of people working on them, now there are a lot of computers working on them. More and more RAS systems are developing and offshore farming. So these are supposed to be more sustainable. Feed systems can also change to meet the growing demands for higher inclusion of nutrients in aquaculture diets. Slide, please. So when speaking about sustainability, in my opinion, you cannot skip to mention the farms of mussels or let's say mollusks in general. But for me, in the production of animal proteins, the most sustainable organism in the world that you can culture are actually mussels. Slide, please. So they don't need anything. They don't need fertilizers. You don't need to add anything to them. So except clean sea and the sun. Slide, please. In our farm, we became attentive to something else. Actually, all our structures, because we don't use any chemicals, all underwater structures become completely overgrown with different kinds of animals. Slide, please. So we can see all kinds of different species. Slide, please. You can just go slowly over them. So another slide. Yeah, so we can see practically every row becomes a living space. Everywhere where there is the leakage of hard surface, animals stuck on them. It's actually like being a fight for space. Slide, please.
Irina, 2 minutes.
Yeah, just please go with the slides. Yeah, okay, another one. So what we are planning to do the next, actually we are planning to put underwater structures which will be submerged, and they will actually offer in a way a pilot system to try and research about species that we could collect from these structures that would actually come from the wild. So it would be in a way very let's say extensive aquaculture, but a way to also produce species that otherwise are not yet known, or we don't know how to produce babies from. Another slide. So this is the basic idea. Structures which would be in the way also a new world underwater, and actually would give a space also to other organisms, so influence also on the biodiversity and in the self-cleaning capacity of the whole system. Another slide. So for this, we created also, for let's say the promotion of the whole project, an institute which is a non-profit organization, and it's actually called 𝐀𝐪𝐻, where also, let's say, people could, general public could collaborate in. Another slide. With the connection of this, we created also a project which is called the Blue Schools, because we believe that education is the base also for sustainability. Another one. So thank you. If you have any questions, I will be happy to answer. Also writing, my contacts are here.